Guys, and welcome to the Fish Room. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and today we're going to look back on the 75-gallon South American community made up of nanofish. Now, this one isn't as old as some of my other aquariums, but I realized we missed its birthday. It has been a year since I planted this and stocked this aquarium, so I thought today, as part of our 100,000 subscriber milestone celebration, we would look at the 75-gallon South American. Now, oddly enough, this has been the aquarium that most people have had the hardest time grasping the concept. You see, I refer to it as my 75-gallon Nano, and that certainly does not refer to tank size, but it does refer to the inhabitants inside it. It is stocked with entirely nanofish, and they've been really successful, and they look amazing in big numbers. So let's take a look, and we'll talk a little bit more about how it's changed, how it's evolved, what I've learned, and just see how everything is doing. Now, back when I set this aquarium up, it was initially stocked with a bunch of otocinclus, a bunch of barred pencilfish, and a bunch of green neons. And all of those fish are still in there. However, in the meantime, we have added some pistogrammas, as well as some laser coreodoras. And all in all, it's been a super successful aquarium. I did end up removing the pennywort because I started to have a small amount of hair algae in this aquarium, and it seemed to gravitate most often towards that pennywort. Now, I did end up having hair algae all over the fish room for a while, and I think a lot of that was to do with when I switched all my lighting, and there was sort of a burst or an imbalance in most of my aquariums that led to some problems, all of which were minor and easily addressed. This aquarium is made with Tropica soil. It's planted with a bunch of different crypts of various sizes, Anubias, Bucephalandras, some African water fern, and it used to have a fair amount of narrowleaf Java fern, but that plant just seemed to not particularly like this aquarium and has disappeared over time. And as in most of my aquariums, some moss showed up on the back wall as well. This aquarium gets about 30 to 40% water changes weekly, though sometimes it'll creep up to as long as 2 weeks in between, depending on how it needs. At least once a month, I do a good vacuum of that substrate, especially because there's so much wood and leaf litter in this aquarium. There tends to be a buildup of mulm, which isn't necessarily detrimental, but it does tend to get kicked up by the cories and the odos and coat the plants, which is unsightly. As I mentioned, I do utilize almond leaves in this aquarium, and I do plan on adding some additional botanicals to this aquarium, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that future video. For the most part, I have zero complaints about this aquarium. I think it's really beautiful, the fish look amazing, and it's been extremely successful and low maintenance. I think this is one that is an excellent example of showing you guys how keeping bigger numbers of just a few fish can make a much bigger visual impact than having a whole lot of species in fewer numbers. But as always, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this aquarium? Would you rather see it with a bunch of species, or do you really appreciate seeing the smaller species in the bigger numbers to see how they interact with this environment and each other? Now, this is an aquarium I am gonna have to move at some point this year, so we'll see what happens, but I hope that I'll be able to do so without destroying it completely. As always, thank you guys for your continued support. Just a reminder, I'll be at the Big Fish Deal this weekend in Gaithersburg, Maryland, where I'll be doing a demo of creating a tank very similar to this one. I'll put a link to that event in the video description, and I hope to see a lot of you there.